Link. I don't know. Previous link was not working.
Yes, teacher, I had a small difficulty entering, so might be some connection or technical troubles.
Okay, welcome, Professor, and thank you very much for your time. I know that you're quite busy person. And I've shared through the Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live so that people can watch from there. So, dear viewers, if you're watching, if you're interested in joining, I've shared the link. Click on this link to join here. Okay. And yes, so they can see it now. Great. Welcome, Professor. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, teacher.
So it's really my pleasure to get you. I know that you're quite a busy person, you're a personal life. And I'm going to highlight two things today, as you know, that I mentioned, because you were previously in a different religion and you converted into Muslim, right? And
Yes, teacher.
and also we're going to talk about your academic life, your scholarly life, so that people know what you're doing at the moment. And before that, would you like to give us a little bit introduction about your birthplace, your studies, and at the moment your academic career?
Well, of course. So my name is Mash Ahamed, and I was born and raised in Sri Lanka, but at the time I'm a Canadian citizen. So when it comes to my academics, I studied at St. George's University in Grenada. It's a tiny island in the Caribbean. So while I was studying for 2 years, I got the opportunity to transfer myself to Canada, to the University of Toronto. So I completed my higher education in Canada. It's pretty much my medical degree. So upon completing, I went to the United States to do my internship training. So I worked in Stony Brook University Hospital for 1 year. And completing my internship, I returned back to Canada, worked as a typical junior doctor. Then I got the opportunity to go to the United Kingdom under a scholarship to Queen's Mary University of London, where I completed my master's degree in traumatology. So upon completion, I worked as a research associate at Queen's Mary University of London, affiliated with Barts Health National Health Services. So at the time, I was working as a physician, completing my licensing test, and also a researcher at the same university. So when I was doing my work, I again returned back to Canada, worked as a physician. Then I got my offer letter from the University of Cambridge to do a PhD in clinical medicine. So that is more like my final stage of my academic field.
Okay, so would you like to elaborate as why do you go to Grenada for your medical degree first? What's the reason behind it?
Well, basically, it's pretty much a very common thing in my home country, Sri Lanka, to go under a very tough condition to get a medical seat in university. So it's very competitive. And even though a lot of students pass the test, they don't get qualified. So that is quite hectic. So even I was one of these victims. So I did my A levels in a local school in my city. And then I sat for the license test, which is more like an entrance test to get inside the medical school. So my mark was not that much satisfactory. So I passed the test, even though I was rejected with some decimal gaps. So taking that as a consideration, I was devastated, more like frustrated. I had no other choice. So then my parents gave me an idea to study abroad. So I thought that might be a good idea as well. So I took their consideration, and under their supervision, I went to Grenada to start my higher studies.
That's great. Thank you very much. So, dear viewers who are watching from Facebook, I've just shared the link. Please do join us. And if you have got any question, maybe you can ask him at the end. We need to listen to this professor, young, talented professor. As you can see, he's very young and talented. And server, welcome. Is it okay to mute your microphone, please? Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you very much. So you went from Grenada to Canada. You became doctor there. You are registered doctor in Canada, in the US, and in the UK. That's really great achievements, you know. And as you said, you came to start your PhD program in Cambridge University. Which year it was?
So it was in 2020, and more like in November, I got my offer letter. So January, I went to the UK to start my doctorate.
And I'm sure you had to go to in Australia for teaching. Would you like to share that experience, please?
Yes, of course. So when I was in the UK at the time, I was invited to a university in Australia. The university's name is the University of Wollongong in New South Wales. So I was invited to work as a researcher and also a visiting lecturer. So I taught intensive care medicine at the hospital and also clinical medicine for students in their first and second year of their undergraduate degree.
Okay, and I believe that that was amazing experience for you, right?
It was, teacher. It was a great experience, new people and a new environment and also a new country. It's one of the most first teaching experience that I've got overall.
Okay, and we'll talk your academic achievements more. Welcome, Sarwar Catholic Jesus from Bangladesh. If you have got any question to Dr. Mash, please go ahead. Then we're going to ask him other questions.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It's my pleasure. I am in front of you and one kind of our young and exclusive doctorate teacher about English. So it's my pleasure. I am astonished that this time I will pass with both. So definitely, it's I'm feeling great. It's my opinion, but just I will listen your question and his answer, all are everything, because it's very important for me. Just I listen.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Catholic Jesus. Okay, so Professor, I'm sure you informed me in one of your conversations that you're also an OET teacher, right? So, what made you become an OET teacher? And explain to the people what does OET mean, and which zone of the territory you were responsible as an OET teacher.
Well, yes. So the first thing I did was I worked as a language instructor when I was in Canada. So it was my first part-time job that I did. So as a new individual, I used to teach a group of students from Southeast Asia. So overall, the students were from Myanmar, Vietnam, and a few from Indonesia, Malaysia, and also from China. So these were my first group of students and my first experience as a language instructor. So when time goes on, I saw a lot of students from the healthcare background where they're willing to improve their English, but they do struggle. So most of them, they don't get their desired band in their IELTS score or maybe any other English language proficiency test. It might be TOEFL, PTE, CELP, anything else. Like they don't get their desired band score. Then that is the time I did a small research to find another alternative for these students who are not getting a good band score in their test. So I came across OET, Occupational English Test. So I did a small, deep investigation with regards to this one. So when I was doing that, I got to know a lot of details on OET. Then I affiliated with British Council to do my first CELTA course. So upon completing my CELTA, I worked as an OET instructor in British Council. So that was my first exposure with the subject and also with the language officially. So when time goes on, I did my Trinity diploma in TESOL in Trinity College London. So completing that, I applied in Cambridge Boxhill Language Assessment Trust, which is the authorized body or governing body for OET. So at the time, I got the opportunity to work as a basic language instructor with CBLA, Cambridge Boxhill Language Assessment Trust. So I got more exposed to the subject and the criteria. So that really helped me to go through and also to develop my academic field in terms of English language and teaching.
That's great, Professor. So we know that you have become Muslims. Would you like to tell us why and how long ago you became Muslim? Because nowadays, people who go for higher studies, uh, they don't study much about the religions. And what was the reason? We like to know, and how long ago, and if any other related story about it, please.
Yes, it's been a couple of years ago that I converted myself. So I was born Catholic in a Catholic family, in a practicing Catholic family. We used to go to church every Sunday, and we had a very strong background in Catholicism. So I was raised in that way, and then I started to research myself on other religions. So it really made me interested. So I used to take books, purchase certain materials, resources, and also refer certain friends to get more details and resources. So I borrowed and took a lot of books out there, especially the scriptures. So I started reading from the Quran, then went to the Bible, both the Roman Catholic version and the King James versions, and went to Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, also Dhammapada, Tripitaka. I just went along with all of these scriptures. So, as I'm from the science background, that is just something which really attracted me to deal with. So, I started researching. It's more like my self research, excavating and extracting all of these science related information from these religious scriptures. So, when I was doing that, I came across more than 35 scientific informations and other science related facts in the Quran as well, along with other scriptures. So this is a tiny debate that I had personally. So I used to compare and contrast what is the difference and what make it significant and what are the other things which might really impact on it. So when I did it, I mean, I came across 90% to 100% accuracy in the Quran. So that really attracted me in that sense. So there's a small debate with regards to God and the concept of God and how it is related and the information in the scriptures, how are they preserved and protected. So these things also really made a huge impact on my research that I did myself. So in a nutshell, all of the scientific information and its accuracy really made me go through. So when I did my research, I came across a lot of things. So when time goes on, after a couple of months doing the research, I was convinced and I went to the Islamic Research Foundation based in New York, Long Island, New York. So I took some tutoring from these scholars and other individuals. So they really taught me a lot of things, explained me a lot of doubts that I had. So when time goes on, I converted. I took my Shahada in a masjid close to Long Island, New York. So that is my first approach as a Muslim.
Okay, and which year it was?
It was in 2019, December.
So only, I should say, around 4 years ago.
Yes, teacher. It's more like 3.5 years ago.
Um, I believe that you took the Shahada, which is called monotheistic, that concept from one of the Islamic scholars. Would you like to mention us his name? I believe that he's a very famous guy.
Yes, he is my first teacher and the person who taught me everything. So he's based in Houston, Texas, but he's often visiting his base center in New York as well. So I met him there. So his name is Dr. Umar Suleiman. He's a professor and a scholar in Islamic studies and religion. So he really taught me everything in detail, and also his ideas are really convincing and much more logical to understand. In a very simplest way, he used to deal with things. So that really attracted my attention. So through him, I learned a lot of things and also cleared a lot of my doubts that I had with regards to religion.
Thank you very much. And as a matter of fact, what I understand that you are too much dedicated of studying your one career development, your medicine degree, as well as PhD programs and also religions. So that's really a good thing to know about you. I know that you have got quite a few books that you have published and many research papers. Would you like to share us about the names of the books possibly, and how many books are there, how many research papers, and which international websites anyone can have a look? And also, you're related to many universities around the world, from Asia to Africa to Europe to America. Would you like to share us, please?
Oh, yes, when it comes to my publications, so far I have published 9 books, and all of these books are medical related, something which deals with health science and clinical studies. So, for example, a few of my books are Pathophysiology of Diseases for Intensive Care Medicine, Official Guide for Nursing, and there is a recent book that I wrote, Intensive Care Medicine and its Affiliated Guidelines. So it is funded by National Health Service and printed in Oxford University Press.
In the UK.
And when it comes to, yes, in the United
So
Kingdom.
what about the
So
other books? Which publication and where anyone can find out those books?
yes, other books are in McGraw-Hill, and there is one book published with Elsevier. So most of my books are published with McGraw-Hill Education.
And McGraw-Hill is based in the UK or USA?
It's based in New York, United States.
Okay. Thank you very much. And how many research papers up to now have you published?
Well, half a century.
So it's more than 50.
More than 50, yeah.
Okay. This is one question very often bugs me, being very young age. How many hours do you study out of 24 hours?
Well, it always depends on my time zone and also my schedule. So usually when I was in the university, I used to study for around 9 to 10 hours per day. But when time goes on, when I just became busy with my work and also my job profile, then I used to minimize my study time. Right now, I don't study anymore because I'm just spending my holidays and my vacation with my friends and family. So when it comes to my previous time period, then I used to study a lot. So in my bachelor's degree, I used to study for around 8 to 9 hours. In my master's, I went on with 5 to 6 hours per day. And my doctorate is all about self education. So it always depends on my task, things to do, and also the supervision that I'm getting from my professor or the supervisor.
Okay, so how many universities up to now, how many universities have you been invited to give you a lecture or help the students? If you'd like to mention all.
So far, yeah, of course, teacher. So far, I've invited to almost, I think, 6 to 7 universities. So my first university was Queen's Mary University of London. So that is the place I taught for the first time. So I was in the Bath Self, which is an affiliated body of National Health Service. So I worked there as a clinical practitioner and a supervisor for medical students. At the same time, I used to teach medical students certain basic things. Then I went to the University of Cambridge to do my doctorate. So along with my supervisor, I worked as a teaching assistant. So completing that, I got the opportunity to go to University of Wollongong in Australia. So I worked as a visiting lecturer there for a couple of months. Nearly, it's been 1 year. It's quite recent, not really old. So recently, I just left the place. Also left my job in the University of Wollongong. So in the other side, I'm invited to a couple other universities in Saudi Arabia, King Abdulaziz University, and also a university in Turkey, based in Istanbul. So this is some really good experience that I had, and also affiliations that I received from some universities worldwide.
Thank you very much. Honestly speaking, your life story, being a young, talented person, is very motivational and inspirational. And people who are listening to us and people who will be listening to us later, as it is being broadcasted live through the Facebook and YouTube channel, it will be saved in the YouTube channel, guys. Okay, Sarwar and Maidul has joined. We're going to talk to you guys in a moment. And if anyone wants to join, I've shared the link through the live stream in Facebook and YouTube channel. So you can always join here and talk to our young, talented professor. Okay, so Maidul, welcome. Are you okay to talk?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, how are all of you? My respectable person here. So, I'm asking you. So, that's a great time going on, and Matt sir is a very talented person. It's a young boy, like very young, but so he is a great professor in other countries worldwide. So, we are so proud for him. So, it's a great I think it's a great achievement
Thank you very much.
as a
Honestly,
young boy.
I remember Professor Mash's one comment. He says when he goes to teaching and with the other PhD scholars, he's the most youngest in age. Everyone is double of his age, right, Professor Mash?
Yeah, majority are very old. Some are seniors, some are just in the mid-range, 35 to 45. So I'm just spending my 20s, and I feel a little bit more embarrassed and also quite awkward to work with them.
Yeah. Did you ever feel that this other elderly professors are not taking care of you? Did you ever feel like that?
Well, of course, I mean, so these things are usually happening, especially when I deal with a lot of elderly people, especially individuals working in the field of academics. So sometimes they are ignorant, sometimes they just try to ignore me, or might be they just try to avoid my presence. So it is always happening. It's quite typical to deal with all of these elder people in that way. So when time goes on, when I work with them for a couple of years or a couple of months, they get used to it. So in that sense, they randomly become quite helpful.
Thank you very much. Okay, server, welcome again. So you spoke earlier a little bit. So guys, once again, we are talking with our special guest, Professor Mash Ahmed, who is a Canadian citizen and a converted Muslim person, as well as he is a professional doctor. And his PhD is going to be finished. Is it next month? You said, Professor?
Oh yes, it's already finished. I'm graduated, so next month I have to select my
Convocation date.
specialization, yeah, convocation, and also my specialization for the postdoctoral research program.
Okay, that's great. And congratulations in advance that you have to come to the
Thank
UK,
you,
yeah,
teacher.
for your
Yeah,
doctoral
of course,
program.
teacher.
Okay. All right. And
So, Master, can I ask something for you?
guys, yeah,
Yeah, sure.
you're welcome to ask him. That's why I've invited you here. And people,
So,
once again, who are
sir,
watching,
actually,
please join us. Okay.
okay. So, sir, actually, right now I am a student in Bangladesh University, and my graduation going on. Right now, I am third year student out of four. And my plan actually, it's my major is English literature. I mean, it's my department, and I want to study abroad after my master's program. So which kind of way for me to study abroad and another kind. I means my preferred country is Canada, but if I get any opportunity for it, then I will go. And if I not opportunity for that country, specific say Canada, then I want to study in any kind of country. So which type way for me to complete this fulfill, I mean, say study abroad?
So there's a lot of options for you. There are multiple countries, including the States, Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland. These are like common destinations for students. All of the English language speaking countries have attracted the attention. So majority of the student population are willing to go there. So it is one of the most interesting things as well. At the same time, quite competitive depending on the student lot who are willing to apply for. So taking that as a consideration, the first thing you have to check your eligibility. So each university have different eligibility criteria. So once you check your eligibility, you can select the most preferred university. So for example, some universities will demand for a GPA of 3.6 or above, or in a lot of cases, some universities will demand for a less GPA than that. So it depends on how much you work and what is your GPA, your IELTS band score, and your other academic records, so on and so forth. So in that case, if you are willing to apply for a top-notch university, we call it a Russell's Group universities in the UK, sometimes it might be quite hectic because their requirements are quite demanding. So to apply for a normal postgraduate qualification, just like a master's, you need to have a band of 7.5 or above for your IELTS, and also to have a GPA of 3.7 or above. Some extracurricular activities, just like public speaking or sporting, something you have done just to prove your confidence and your personality. So these things are really concerning depending on your university. So it's up to you to select your university by going through their requirements, and you can filter yourself with the university and compensate other gaps by doing some extracurricular things. So these things might help you. And also, as you mentioned, your major is English literature. So almost every country where students are willing to study are English language speaking countries. So you're exposed to a native English environment. So in that case, sometimes it might be helpful, sometimes not. It is also quite subjective for the person. So, there are other countries as well which can really attract your attention. For example, studying in Malaysia, Singapore, or going to other European countries like Denmark, Norway, South Korea. These countries are really good destination for students as well. They have a great standard of living, amazing salary, good universities, great records. So it always depends on what you expect and what you're planning to go for.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Professor.
so much for your helping question answer. So I'm really glad. And actually, as a Bangladeshi student, so we are not able to uh, about this type of situation. I mean, study abroad, IELTS, and academics and recommendations. So everything. Yeah, actually, as a student, so we have to need a recommendation letter, good CGPA, IELTS score, brand score, and another kinds of extra skill.
Yeah,
So that's why actually we all are earn just CGPA, IELTS score, and a recommendation letter, but more extra skill is need for a student. But at this time, I am going my journey. I mean, as a student, and my department is going on, and so extra skill. So which type of skill it's important for a student to study abroad?
So basically,
Just for IELTS, academic or others.
so it always depends on the university. If you're applying for a top-notch university with a good ranking, they will demand for extra stuff from the candidate. So apart from your academics, a good GPA and a good IELTS band score, they will also demand for an amazing organized SOP, a statement of purpose, and also a recommendation letter from an academia or a lawyer or any other individuals working in the field of governance. So these things really impact depending on the university you're willing to apply for. Apart from that, there are certain universities like Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, Yale, and also in Cambridge and Oxford, they will ask for extracurricular activities, experience in public speaking, sporting, your confidence, your personality trait. You had to prove your personality trait because they demand a lot of things from the candidate. Because after you graduate, you can get a guaranteed job that is pretty much obvious. So these things usually impact on your CV or might be your academic profile. It also depends on the university. Some universities don't, some universities do. So you can filter the universities which require these kind of stuff and go for them if you don't have that qualification in general.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, that's
Thank,
great.
thank you
So
very
it's
much.
a very great information for me. So thank you so much, Matt sir.
Uh,
And at this time, I'm really happy. So, and if I like Matt sir in future, so it will be grateful for me. So as a young age, but you are so high level from us. So that's a very great.
Academic scholar, I should say. And we have got another person,
Yeah.
Akmal. Thank you very much, Akmal Hafiz, for joining. Welcome.
Hello, teacher Ahat, and hello, teacher Mahesh, and everyone.
Welcome, Akmal. If you have got any question to Professor Mash, it's your time to ask him.
First, I congratulations to him to become a Muslim, and you are so proud for overall to all learners, and I'm following you on Hollow application as well. In previous years, although you are busy in a lot of stuff doing, I see from your profile. So my question for it applies on everyone. What is the main thing student should focus on as a researcher? Because I am doing MBA, Master in Science of Business Administration, and my research topic is consumer behavior. And how can I choose like a best research topic? It is like a partial research topic, and how I make myself more skillful in that field.
So basically, choosing a research topic is one of the most complicated things because, first thing we have to recognize our level and our expectations. So as you mentioned, you're doing an MBA specializing in something related to the field of commerce. You can just do a research trying to invent or find a solution. Now, The reason for a research is just to introduce something new to the industry or to the society. So it's all about giving a contribution to the environment or the society or in general to your field of study. So to be a little bit more different, you can be quite unique. You can find your own topic, your own identification. And in general, a lot of research things happen in a very different way in certain universities. So a lot of universities will demand or suggest you to do a research where the supervisor is doing that research. So you'll be under the supervisor, so you're going to continue the research done by the supervisor. So it's a very common thing. So a lot of universities don't give inventable facilities, which is pretty uncommon, but still, as an independent person, you can do your own job. So to be a good researcher, you need to be way too analytical. That's very important. You need to deal with statistics, and your brain should be much more logical enough to do quick calculations, because you're going to deal with a lot of softwares and also other analytical calculations, skills, all these kind of things in general. And also you need to have an open mind to deal with a lot of things and deal with a lot of people. Suppose you do a social research, you will be needing to talk to a lot of people from different communities. So you're collecting data and you're recording your data to a level. So these things are really important. So the first thing, you should be way too analytical. Then you have to have an open mindset. You need to be way too logical with your arguments. And also, you need to be quite patient. Obviously, it takes a lot of time. Some people complete their research within few years, 1.5 to 2 years. Some people take a lot of time. Now, I've seen a lot of individuals who are still struggling to complete their PhD, but they had been studying for more than 6 years for a doctorate. They're still struggling to complete their PhD because they don't satisfy these requirements, these basic requirements a scholar should possess. So once you satisfy these requirements, it'll just construct an easy and a smooth way to flow yourself. So these things are quite important. So it's all about career development, finding another alternative option that you can go for if you don't suit this one. So try to think like a researcher, then automatically you'll be a researcher.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you
Professor.
so much. Great.
Okay, thank you, Akmal, for the question. I have noticed Akmal has mentioned his topic is consumer behavior, right?
Yes,
So
teacher.
would you like to highlight anything, Professor Mash, if you want to go for any research in the future? Would it be wise for him or not? Actually, it depends on him, as you said.
It is correct. It always depends on you personally, and also doing a research will definitely help you. So I'm not really familiar with your field of study. So as you mentioned the word behavior, I think it has something to do with people. So I think it is something way too inclined with social sciences, dealing with communities and stuff. So in that case, try to be more open and try to explore a lot of things, which means talk to a lot of people, get to know their ideas, get their logical arguments, try to talk in a very nice way that you can collect data. So you can start it from today. Go outside, talk to people, and collect data from them. Acquire more information. So this particular data that you're collecting today will be helpful for you in the future. As you just mentioned about behavior, you can observe people and also observe businesses which is running and collect data from today, which you can utilize it in the future.
Okay,
Thank you so much for the great advice. I appreciate.
Okay, Sarwar has a question for you, Professor Mash. Unmute it, please, Sarwar.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. But I'm fulfilled astonished when listen his career. It's really, really incredible. So, but I would like to listen again his career and educational background. And I know he's a doctor and he has researched more and more and how he has improved his English. And right now, I think he has another study or try to get another degree about English subject. So please explain me shortly.
Okay.
So when it comes to my English language journey, so I had to improve to satisfy my visa requirements and also the university entrance. So I had to sit for the IELTS test. That was a long time ago when I thought of immigrating myself abroad. So that is my first attempt that I prepared myself. So completing my IELTS exam, I got a good band score. Then I shifted myself to a country called Grenada. So 90% of my professors, lecturers, and also my colleagues are from native countries. So more of the individuals are from the United States, and there were a few from Canada as well. And it's quite rare that I saw non-native or anyone from my color. It's really rare that I found a South Asian in that environment. So it is more into exposure. I was dealing with a lot of native from the beginning of my academic field.
Okay, so uh, Sarwar's question is, you finished your degree 3 years in Grenada, then you went to Canada, right? So, Sarwar, Grenada is a Jamaican country, right, Professor Mesh?
A Caribbean country, yeah,
Sorry,
West Indies.
West Indies. Grenada is a small country in West Indies, and he studied his medicine 3 years there. Then fourth year, and up to his graduation from medical degree. Is it which university from Canada, Professor?
The University of Toronto.
University of Toronto.
Sure.
Toronto. Okay,
Okay.
so in medical profession and many other profession, you need to register. So after finishing his degree, he got registered as a doctor. Then, if you remember, he went to USA. Then he came to UK. So he's a registered doctor in 3 different countries: Canada, US, and UK. So he can practice as a doctor
Oh,
if he wants to any of these countries without any limitation. And
oh,
then he applied for a PhD program in Cambridge University. If you remember, Cambridge is one of the best 5 universities in the world. Harvard University is number 1. Oxford is 2. Cambridge maybe 3 or 4. If you see the world ranking universities, and Professor Mash has explained his experience. I think he said there are 24,000 people applied for the position, only 24 got the opportunity. And he's one of the luckiest 24 candidates who was offered the PhD program fully funded. You see? Do you have any idea how much you have to spend for PhD program in Cambridge? Does anyone have got any idea? It is in between
no,
20,000 to 30,000
no.
pound every year.
It's a really.
So that is in around.
No, I have no word about
Okay, so Sarwar and
this
the people who are
because
listening, 1 year to study in Cambridge or Oxford, you have to spend in between 30,000 to 50,000 US dollar only for studies 1 year. And he was, lucky to get this scholarship from the government. It's because his scores, his result, research paper. Okay, Professor, here is one thing. Because you got opportunity of, because you have got publications and many research papers, right? Is it one of the other factors,
Basically, yes, I worked as a researcher even before doing my doctorate. So I worked in Bath Health, completing my master's in Queen's Mary University of London. So my research career started in Grenada. So that was my first publication that I did in the university itself in my bachelor's degree. So it really inspired me and attracted my attention in a personal space. So I kept on exploring and continued working with a lot of other senior researchers and getting their guidance, supervision. So that's how I stepped into the research field.
Or is it understandable now, Sarwar? Now, what I assume,
yes, sir.
Professor Mash only slept maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Most of the time, yeah.
Otherwise, it will not be possible for being a very young person like him. He said he's only mid-20s to complete his bachelor's, master's, complete his doctorate degree. Now he's going for more his career development. And also he, though it is his private matter, he has been offered many good opportunities to work in many universities around the world with a very good, handsome salary, right, Professor?
Yes, teacher, handsome
Yes.
salary.
Yeah. Definitely. Mm. And yeah, I have a question, Mr. To Raj sir. Please let me know. Our Bangladesh community, Bangladeshi doctor has been used their degree like these MBBS, FRs, CPFRs, the others. But Mr. Mass, when will be a registered doctor in Canada or other country, and how type this degree he will show his prescription or others area.
for well identification.
Okay, so Professor,
Understood? You understood my question?
uh,
Well, partially.
okay, we have got another professor from Bangladesh, Dr. Jashim. He's another professor from University of Dhaka. Okay, we'll talk to you in a moment, Dr. Jashim. So,
Wow, we are really glad.
uh, so our question is, Professor Mash, in Bangladesh, there are many doctors, they use these degree like MRCS, FRCS, FCPS in their prescription, that they have got these degrees from different,
Mm.
institutions. So his question is, do you have this kind of degree? Sarwar, please bear in mind that he's not a practicing doctor. He's a research doctor mainly, and professor in lecturing, okay? The people who see the patients in their prescription and pad, they use these degrees. So this is he's asking for your clarification, Professor Mash.
Okay, I understood the question. So basically, is I have an FCCM, Fellowship in Critical Care Medicine from the United States. So at the same time, I did my MRCP, membership in Royal Council of Physicians in the UK. So I do have two recognition after my name, just like how a lot of doctors do.
Okay, thank you very much, and welcome, Dr. Mohammed Jashimuddin. You can unmute. We can hear you. Please unmute it. You have to unmute in the microphone symbol. Dr. Jashim. I think he may have connection issue possibly.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, now
Can you hear me now?
we can hear you. Welcome.
Oh,
Greeting, greetings, sir.
good evening. Good evening. It's night. I think 11 p.m. at Bangladesh. I'm just going to sleep now. But when I put my mobile, I saw your program. Then I just click on the link. I got everybody.
Yeah, we're really glad to see you here, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's an exciting program, I think. People from all over the world, they can join, they can learn, they can share everything. I think if I had time, I should join again.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Next time we'll invite you earlier, yeah, because our timing
Yeah,
matches. So we have invited this time. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
invite you,
yeah.
obviously, but maybe a bit earlier, okay?
Thank you.
Also, thank you very much for joining. I'd like to present Professor Mash Ahamed. He's very young, talented professor.
Yeah, I saw him. Amazing. I saw him, very young professor. Yes.
Yeah, 51 publication, 9 books, working in Cambridge University, Australian University, Queensmere University, England. So that is very rare, opportunity as a people.
Exactly.
That's a great journey going on. So we are really proud. So our honorable teacher in Bangladesh, Dhaka University. So he is also here, and others person, maths professor is a young professor. So he is also here, and others my respectable teachers also here. So we are really glad.
And Professor Joshim,
it's a wonderful opportunity for us, and a lot of valuable people right now we are participants in this event. So I'm really feel grateful to everyone. Thank you very much, dear Mesh, again and again from my and a bundle of greetings from Bangladesh. Okay, with our honorable teacher, Mr. Rahat, with Mohammed sir. Thank you.
So every session, so we need to master also Mohammed sir. So if you want, then you can join with us, and if you also join with us every session, then that will be helpful for us. Actually, we are a student and learner, and as a student fond of you, and honors level student. So it's after my graduation, I want to study abroad. So if you help me any kind of information about other countries or our countries papers, also extra skills, so that will be very helpful for us.
Sure.
And I need your help, sir.
Of course, of course, of course.
So, Professor
Of
Joshim, would you
course.
like to tell us your background a little bit, your publication, and where you're teaching at the moment?
Oh yeah, yeah. But as you know, I graduated from Dhaka University, and I also got PhD degree from Dhaka University. But in the meantime, I just got higher advanced training from University of Illinois at Chicago, and back at home, I joined in the University of Dhaka. Now I am full professor. By this time, I published 90 articles,
90.
90, 90 articles,
90, very good.
including 90 articles. That is just last December, I published 8 more scientific articles. And right now, under my supervision, 3 MSc students doing their master's thesis, 1 PhD students, and 2 MPhil students doing their thesis. But I have 3 more international collaborations. One from Kyung-Pook University, South Korea. Another one, NIBR from South Korea. And another one, U.S. Forest Service from USA. And just right now, I got another project from USDA, Bangladesh, through Bangladesh Academy of Science. Basically, I am working on traditional knowledge of Bangladeshi plants. As you know, there are good number of information, those who are with local people, but this knowledge actually has no written document with them. But due to accidental death or any kind of killing, the knowledge just gone away. But now we decided to document, record this knowledge, and try to justify their validation scientifically. As I think my friend Rahat knows, the value of this scientific knowledge for the discovery of modern medicine, very important. Last year we proved 8 more medicinal plants. Those have properties to prevent cardiovascular complaint. As for example, like amla. Amla, the people from India, they can recognize amla. Amla is it's amla. I think amla is a very popular name, like garlic, ginger, and like tamarind. These are the fruits of sour in taste, but they contain huge vitamin contents and antioxidant properties. People are using long before they collect these fruits from the forest, and they use it for their well-being. But currently, this source of fruits and forest has been eliminating from the nature. This is the alarming. But now we people, those who are involved with natural resource research, we try to understand the knowledge, and we try to prevent the knowledge and try to justify the knowledge scientifically. Our one program with Kyung-Pook National University, we have IPR between these two universities. If any valuable information come from our research, if it is in the market, in that case we have to share benefits. So this is I think we already passed 3 more years. I think it will be go for a long time research.
Thank you very much, Professor. So basically, Professor Joshim is a professor of botany, right? That is botany. Okay. We don't have much time, so Dr. Mash is here as a special guest. If you have any advice or suggestion for the young learners or young people who like to develop their career in research field, what will be your suggestion? I'll go to Professor Mash first, and then after Professor Joshim.
Well, just keep exploring. That is the basic thing you have to do. The more you develop the research inside you, the more you're going to search for yourself. Just keep exploring, and also just to get an insight from now onwards, if you have a chance, you can start reading research papers written online or might be in other websites. So there's a lot of organizations you can go for. There is Elsevier, Spinger, McGraw-Hill, so on and so forth. So each year they publish hundreds and thousands of research papers. So you can start reading and get a clear insight how things work, what's an abstract, what's the background, what's a literature review, what's a peer review. You can get an idea from now. So it'll be much more helpful for you in your future that when you do your official research under your supervisor. So the only thing you can do is explore for yourself, open the research inside you, start dealing, as Akmal gave an example about his research in, I think, something related to community
Consumer
behavior, consumer behavior. So as he mentioned, he's dealing with a lot of people. Then he can talk to a lot of individuals and collect data from now onwards, which he can utilize in the future. So he can collect data, talk to people, observe behaviors, learn how businesses run, different types of businesses, how things are working inside, internal conflicts. So he can do his own research, more like his background research right now, before he go to his official one, which will be much more helpful for his future official research under his supervisor. So the basic thing, wake up your researcher. You'll be really good to go with it.
Thank you very much. And Professor Jashim, what would be your advice if somebody wants to develop their research techniques or methodology?
I fully agreed with Professor Mesh. His advice is very, very relevant for young people. Without you have to be read new articles from so many sites. He already mentioned Elsevier, Springer, Frontiers. So many scientific journal published good number of scientific work. You have to read and you have to find out the gap of the knowledge. Then you have to decide what you should do. Otherwise, you cannot find the gap. In the scientific research, first of all, you have to achieve your background knowledge and try to accommodate all the knowledge and try to find out the gap. Where is the gap? You have to conduct research. This is the prime way. This is the gateway to proceed with research. Otherwise, you cannot. So that's why everybody should have to study all newly published scientific articles. Otherwise, you cannot, or anybody cannot go with a new research or a new findings or new discoveries. My suggestions and Professor Mesh's suggestion is that I think same. Everybody have to be with first of all scientific articles should read and try to understand the gap, and then you decide what is the gap, how you will go for or go to fill up this gap scientifically. This is the way you can discover so many things.
Thank you very much. But there is one technical problem, Professor Mesh and Professor Joshim. I've noticed that Asian students don't want to study and read much, and they don't like to write. Okay, these two skills are very important. This strong desire of reading articles and strong desire of writing. For researcher in academic career development, without these two qualities, you can't expect to move further. Well, how much do you agree with us or me, Professor Mesh first, then Professor Joshim?
Well, it is quite 100% because the more you explore, the more you're going to get knowledge. Reading is quite important here. It might be a research article or a textbook, your textbook, some other textbooks. You can read and acquire some knowledge. So you can develop your fundamental knowledge like that. So without exploring, you can't invent anything. You have to explore. You have to deeply identify certain things. So, the only thing you can do is very simple. If you can't read a paper, you have your phone, you have your laptop. You're way too digitalized. It's the modern world. So you can use these modern technologies to go for. And if you can't write, at least type anything you refer to, anything you want to. So you can depend on these modern technologies to develop your career and also your field of exploration. So the basic thing is wake your researcher up. Don't make him sleep. Once you wake him up, he'll aspire to deal and go explore for himself. So do that, and potentially you can get into the positive track.
Thank you very much. Professor Joshim, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I agreed with him. Without reading articles, without finding a gap, you cannot proceed. If you read, then you can store the knowledge. If you have a sound background on particular topics, then you can find the gap. If you find the gap, then you can decide, I have to fill this gap. This is the way to proceed for discovery of anything new. Otherwise, you cannot.
Thank you very much. So, Sarwar, Maidul, and Akmal, have you got any more questions? We have got 10 minutes more. It is showing. Yeah, Sarwar has a
Okay,
question.
firstly, okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for chance me. And I want to ask you, and which type of book and others, it's like this direct papers book or digitalized like this Google or from laptop or computer, which one will you prefer first time?
So, it's a very interesting question. Like in my case, I studied and worked in a lot of Western universities. In that case, we always depend on the technology. For example, we always had to take our laptop. We don't use a pen or a paper. So it depends on your background and your environment. If you're convenient with your laptop or your phone, you can go for that. If you're not, you can purchase or print and take it as a hard copy. So it always depends on your interest and your convenience. So, also you have to think a little bit more deep because our world is digitalizing. We are rotating on a technological world. So depending on technology will also be more helpful. In case if you have a doubt on your studies, you can always refer your professor or your supervisor, and you can ask him questions and clear your doubts, fill your gaps. So potentially, I think all of the professors will help you with that. So try to get that personal advice. Along with that, try to incline yourself with technology, which is obviously the future.
Thank you very much. I think
Thank you very much, sir.
Maidul wants to ask something. Maidul, are you still there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
I believe that you want to ask something.
Yeah, I think I got a lot of information from here about study and study skill. So I wanted to know that this type question answer. So I got it properly. Thank you so much for Mesh sir, also Raj sir and Mohammed sir. So all are here. So I want to get a more session about this, and I want to gain a lot of information, and I want to develop myself like Mesher, and I want to be a good person like Mesher, also Rahat sir and others person. So I want to
All right,
see myself.
All right, thank you
in
very much,
future.
Maidul.
So
I have got a
thank you so much.
plan to bring more people. Like next time, I'm going to bring Professor Joshim, and also a professor. I have requested Professor Mash because he knows lots of professors all over the world. If we can connect those academics to bring here, they can talk in different topics. That will be really helpful for all of us. So we have just started. Okay, so we hope to learn together and move forward. Hopefully. Okay, and
Exactly.
thank you very
And
much.
also I want to Joshin sir, it's a humble request. So when Rahat sir on this session, I mean run on this session on Facebook Live. So I request to you, so you will join with us and you will give the information about study, and that will be very helpful for us and as a student of Bangladesh. So Bangladesh
No
student there are a lot of lacking. So I'm a student of National University. So I wanted to study in public university, but it's a bad luck. I could not chance to join public university. So I was a waiting serial in Dhaka University, Jahangirnagar University. But after that, I failed everywhere just. And right now, I am a student of National University in Rangpur, government college, and it's third year going on. And my
Good subject.
next plan after complete
Which
my
subject you study?
graduation,
Which subject you study?
English literature
English
and language.
literature. Good subject. Yeah.
So that's why I can communicate with them here. Just it's a little bit, not too much. As a student of English literature, so that's why I know English speaking little bit. So I always study English books.
Try again. No problem. I think it will be okay after a few days.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, and I am really proud. So I am talking to a professor in Dhaka University. So that's a great. I'm really happy.
I also feel honored because my friend Mr. Rahat Ali already he got doctorate, I think. Dr. Rahat Ali
No,
from
not yet.
yeah, not yet. You're going to be doctor, yes.
Inshallah,
He's
if God wills.
versatile knowledge in English and literature and culture. So many things he already acquired from all over the world. Whenever I got time, I want
we all
to
go
just try to join.
teacher Ahamed UK for celebration of his PhD. Inshallah.
Okay, Akmal, no problem. So, have you got any more question, Akmal?
Yes,
Yes,
yeah, let
I
me go.
want to say
Got some
something. Just
questions.
1 minute, and I think 5 minutes left remaining. So
Yes, 5 minutes more.
it's my first episode. Just 1 minute, I'll say. It's the first episode for me, and I have a lot of higher educated people in front of me. So I feel proud. Really, really, it's grateful to me. And I hope that Mr. Rahat Ali is a country of origin from Bangladesh. So I hope that he will arrange and organize some type of educational meeting, and he has no available time. Just arrange per week or per 15 days or per 20 days, one kind of meeting for same type of. And Professor Mas is he's a iconic model and a youngest talented guy. So I think it will be helpful for develop our others career or behavior or presentation or communication is good. All are everything. So I hope that you will organized next time some type of meeting
Thank you
for
very much.
Bangladeshi people.
It's for everyone, Sarat. So, we are not limited to Bangladeshi people. Okay, remember, we
Yeah,
welcome each and every
but you have
person.
some duty on Bangladeshi peoples, okay? Because of you are a
I
you
understand
are
your logic,
from Bangladesh.
but as a matter of fact, I and Professor Mash and Professor Joshi, we welcome each and every person. Every human being is
Of course.
equal to us. Okay, and as you can see,
Yeah.
Akmal is one of my students. He's from Pakistan, so he's doing his MBA in consumer behavior. Is major.
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
So
Sorry
I,
for
no, no, no.
I
mistake.
improved.
I understand.
I improved my English on Hall application through teacher Ahat Ali and other lovely teachers, including teacher Mahesh. Although I'm not subscriber of him, but I did listen to him, and I because I am good at listening. Because I am shy person, so sometimes I'm busy on work. So even though he conducting live streams every Sunday, and I watch his whole live stream 1 hour from Ukrainian students and teacher other teachers. So 1 hour I am giving my life to listen this, and consistency is the key. And as teacher Mahesh mentioned, explore the world and explore yourself. Self development and self exploration is the key, I can say, in practice, as teacher Rahat Ali always mentioned in his live streams. So
Thank you very much, Akmal, for your lovely comments. Thanks, Professor Joshi. We have got exactly 1 minute and 40 seconds, so it is going to be ended
Okay.
automatically.
I think next time I will introduce my youngest son with you.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to
But
contact
he can
you.
speak well. He
Okay.
can speak well, even in American English.
That's okay, Professor Joshi. No problem.
He's very enthusiastic to communicate with people.
Certainly. Yeah, we like to
Very
meet your family
enthusiastic.
members. Okay,
Yes, of
and
course.
thank you very much once again, Professor Jashim, Professor Mash, Sarwar, Maijil, and Akmal. Will
Mm-hmm.
this will be going to be ended automatically, don't worry. So dear viewers, thank you very much who are watching from Facebook and YouTube channel. This is just a beginning. I'm going to invite as many people as possible. And honestly, some people already have contacted me that, oh, I'd like to be guest in your broadcast. So that would be great. So we're going to find that suitable time and day. I'm mostly off on Saturdays and Sundays, so we'll manage the time. Okay. So thank you very much once again. And do you have anything to say at the end, Professor Mash?
Well, I just met a lot of aspiring learners and influencers here. That's quite interesting. And also, teacher, thank you for giving me this opportunity today. It's a great pleasure being here and meeting all of these people.
Okay, dear viewers, thank you very much. And that's the end of